Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to March, the March R&R monthly session. My name is Shelly Maxwell, and I'm a clinical social worker with the Wisconsin Ascension EAP. And I'm joined by my colleague, Jen, who oversees our presentations and outreach, and she'll be helping out with chat and recording the session. So as a reminder to each of you, these sessions are recorded. Your chats are not, your pictures are not in there. It's just the main presentation of myself. But these are recorded and put in a playlist on our YouTube channel so that you can access them at any time. And we've got, since we started in October, we have each month's presentation up there. Sometimes they get loaded by Friday of the same week. Sometimes it's the next week, but for sure within a week, we have those up and running. And I just wanted to apologize. I came down with a cold over the weekend. I was cross-country skiing and underestimated the wind. And so it became a bit of survival cross-country skiing towards the end. And within an hour, I was sneezing quite a bit. So I'm coming towards the end of it. So for today's for our session today, I've been thinking a lot about the days getting longer, and not just the days getting longer, but the warmth of the sun that's starting to hit as we get turn towards the sun a little bit more each day. And the reason I've been thinking about it so much is because I've needed to bring balance back into my life. Balance is always something I think of when my heart gets heavy, and certainly with the world crisis going on, what's going on in Russia and certainly the Ukraine, it's easy to get let those seeds of fear really take root. And I don't know how else we don't, right? Be scared and fearful and worried, especially when we might have direct connections, either through work or personal lives. So, holding space for that. So without minimizing those concerns and that worry, we can still bring balance by focusing on other things that are taking root right now, right? Other things that are life-giving, that are going to be abundant and prosperous in a way that's life-giving and nurturing to us. So I'm a gardener. I'm looking out over my perennial beds and thinking about cutting down that dead growth in a month or two, and so that those perennial sprouts can start coming up. And I'll also be planting my seeds for the vegetable garden. So trying to refocus my mind when I get pulled into the news or things that my clients are bringing to me, to start thinking about, okay, what am I going to grow? What else is going to take root in my life? So with that being said, I'd like you to think about seeds for a moment. And we talk about the divine intelligence that's held within a seed. That within an acorn, there's the potential for an oak tree. And to even think about the divine intelligence within our cells, right? That just think about the divine intelligence in each cell of our eyes and the diversity of those cells and the intelligence within each cells to form our retina, to form the cornea, each iris rod, right? And then you can think about, it's overwhelming to think about how we have over 30 trillion cells in our body, and we're an ecosystem. Lots of other things are, I hate to say it, living on us too, but there to help us be healthy and to thrive. So if you'd like to take a moment here to close your eyes and extend to yourself that knowledge of divine intelligence living within you, however you want to call it, that there are parts of you that just automatically do their thing without you having to instruct it to do that, right? We don't have to micromanage it. We don't have to control it. We don't have to prompt it. And to think about your own rootedness, right? What gives you a sense of rootedness when things are maybe pulling you away from yourself or pulling you out of the here and now and into an anxious future? What can you come back to? And once you have that sense of that connection, I want you to bring your both feet to the floor and really focus on the connection of the soles of your feet connecting with the ground. And sometimes, we can say floor or carpet, but I find that when I actually say ground, even though literally it's not the ground, I just feel a little bit more connection. And so if that works for you, use it, go with whatever works for you. Now, from your soles of your feet, just imagine that space between your feet and the ground becoming thinner and thinner, as if it's becoming one with the ground under you. Maybe imagine roots coming out from your feet and anchoring deep into the earth. You may notice that your breath is slowing down, that the rhythm of your breath might be becoming more smooth or even. And as we soften and bring our attention to our feet, the body, our tissues start to soften and the breath can become deeper. Traveling from the feet and your roots up through the legs, right? Through the ankles, through the shins, our legs, like the femur, our hip bones, up the spine, to our shoulders, down through our arms, our lower arms, and into our hands and fingers. And feel that structure that is you, just like the trunk and limbs of a tree, that were solid, but also soft on the inside. And then bringing awareness back up to the shoulders, travel from the neck up to the crown of the head, thinking about the crown of a treetop. And maybe imagine the sunlight hitting you, warming you. Start to take a deep breath in. And for those of you who've been attending each month, reminding you to use that diaphragmatic breath. And what I mean by diaphragmatic breath is when we inhale, we let the belly balloon open. And then on the exhale, we use a gentle squeeze to bring that air out, pressing the navel center towards the back of our chair or spine. And then when you're ready to inhale, just start to release that effort and let the belly expand. And exhale, squeezing the air out, bringing that navel center in. And it can be best to use nostril breathing in and out of the nostrils if you're not congested. It can be hard this time of year. In and out. And staying with our breath a little bit more, let's do a counted breath. And what I'm thinking of here is just like the days are lengthening, right? And the roots of all the seeds and bulbs and plants, how those are starting to lengthen under the soil, even though we can't see it. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the exhale first. It's easier to start with the exhale. So squeeze that breath out. And then when you're ready to take a breath in, let's count to 4. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. And we're going to exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. And we're going to increase the count. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. And exhale out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do a 5 count one more time. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see if we can get to 6. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Exhale out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your natural breath. Just let the belly relax. So counted breath can be a really nice way to bring in mindfulness, right? We're focusing on the count as well as how we're breathing. So it keeps the amygdala engaged. It's not going to other thoughts or telling you what to worry about or thinking about a to-do list. So it keeps your mind occupied while you also breathe. And when you're trying to extend the breath, you're engaging that vagus nerve that calms the nervous system a little bit longer. And something research has actually found is it can be even more effective to double the exhale. So if you inhale on a count of 4, you exhale on a count of 8, because that's really where that stimulation of the vagus nerve occurs, is on that exhale. And so we're stimulating it a little bit easier. But when we're beginning, it's easier to do the same count going into the breath and coming out. Another way that you can use counted breath is using what's called Foursquare. And when I'm working with folks who've served in the military or in the police, they call it autonomic breathing, but where you do the counted breath, tracing a square. So you might go to one point on the inhale and then down to the next point on the exhale, and so forth. Or you go around the square, like 1, 2, 3, 4. When I was teaching my daughter for her anxiety in school, she likes to trace a circle on her thigh. And so the circle is the counted, with whether it's 4, 5, or 6. And then the exhale, she'll do the reverse. And there's times I've been in meetings and I've done that on my leg because nobody knows. But when I feel my heart rate going up, it's a really great way to regulate yourself when you're feeling activated. And I don't know if any of you guys were watching the Nets and Bucks game the other night, but I was super excited to see Kyrie Irving when he was at the free throw line, clearly doing grounding and some deep breathing. And when I worked at UWO, that was something I would teach the athletes because it improves our performance. It's not just for stress reduction. And because they won, they were interviewing him, and she asked, "What are you doing when you're at the free throw line?" And he's like, "I'm basically going into a meditative stance." And I was like, yes, because he just shows like how accessible it is to us as long as we're intentional with it and believe in it, right? So the more and more you practice this, the more it'll become automatic, the more you'll just experience the benefits of using breath work throughout your day. But an easy place to start might be in the morning. And then for sure, when you feel your heart rate go up, or you're feeling like impatient, right? Like standing in line at the grocery store or wherever. It's like, okay, I'm starting to get impatient. Here's my opportunity to ground and breathe, and take that as a mini R&R session. Does that sound good? So let's go ahead and move into our chair yoga and stretches. So here's another little image that I found of little seedlings. And let's go ahead and bring you back. So I want you to clasp your hands together like this and think of it like a seed pod. Okay, so here we've got our little seed pod, and we're just going to rotate our wrists, warming up. And then if you can figure it out, reverse direction. And then go ahead and bring the hands back. And then we're going to extend our roots a bit. So again, we're going to continue warming up our wrists and hands. So you're going to open up your palms as if they're like a book. And then you're going to scoop the fingers down and reach them in front. And then bring them back and close the book. And let's do that 3 more times. Reaching out, feeling that stretch in the biceps and triceps. And move with your breath. Opening and closing the book and extending. Let's do 1 more. Reach it forward. And then bring it back. Rub the hands and rub those thumbs, the fingers, and then let the hands come down into your lap. We're just going to walk our hands down our lap, coming into a forward fold. So as you come into your fold, be sure to engage those abdominals, hug them in as you reach the crown of the head forward. So we're going for length first, and then slowly just start to droop those shoulders. Let the torso just hang over the legs. You can relax the neck and the jaw, just let the head hang and be heavy. And then with your hands, they might be dangling, they might be resting on your legs, your feet or the floor. And wherever they're at, try to extend them a little bit more. So if your hands are on the floor, use your fingertips to walk out a little bit farther. If they're on your legs, try to extend those fingertips a little bit longer. And take some breaths, feeling the breath down in the lower back, between the shoulder blades as you create space there. Take another deep breath in. And on your exhale, walk the hands back up. We're going to move through a few cat-cows. A lot of you are probably familiar with this. You can scoot up a little bit farther forward in your seat. And in cat-cow, we'll start with the exhale. And we're going to curve the spine to the back of your chair, hugging those abdominals, curling the tailbone, the shoulders trying to reach towards each other. And then on your inhale, bring that belly forward. The shoulders come back, shoulder blades come together. Bring those elbows back just slightly. Chin comes forward. And move with the rhythm of your breath here. Moving through your cat-cow, warming up that spine. Rinsing the tension out in the upper back as the sternum comes forward and the collarbones. And then pressing the spine out when you go in the reverse direction. Let's do that one more time. In cat, in cow. And then come back to neutral. And I want you to take your hands and bring them to the bottoms of your ribs, as if you're wrapping your hands around a tree trunk. Okay, and we're going to do a little bit more of that grounding. So making sure both feet are on the floor, imagining your roots sinking down into the ground, and you're connecting your hands with that trunk. And as you inhale, bring awareness to the ribs expanding, right? Because those bottom 2 ribs are actually float. And then on your exhale, Notice the constriction as you bring the navel center in, the ribs will kind of shrink in. And then on your inhale, feel the fullness of that breath. Out. One more time, taking a nice deep breath in, filling that trunk. And out. We're going to extend the arms out from the shoulders and rotate the wrists. So we're going to rotate the hands and reverse direction, and then we're going to start to make big arm circles. So these are our branches. And when you come down, reverse direction, bring it around. You might start to feel some tingling because you're opening up that circulation, those blood vessels in the arm. And then the next time you come up, go ahead and swing your hands all the way up to the sky, clasp the hands and bring the palms up towards the sky. So we do this quite frequently. We're bringing the biceps to our ears, pressing the palms up. It's great for the forearms, especially those of us who are at our desks or doing a lot of typing. And imagine this being the crown of the tree, right? The tops of your tree. Take a deep breath in and press the palms a little bit up more. And then on the exhale, just let them float on down. Can rotate the shoulders and reverse direction. From here, we're going to bring that right ankle up onto our left thigh for figure 4, or what we call pigeon. If your leg won't allow that today, it is fine to straighten the left leg and bring it over your shin or over the ankle. And that might be enough right there. This is a bit of a hip opener. We don't want you feeling any sharp pain, but I do want you to feel a bit of sensation, right? Of opening and lengthening. And wherever you feel that sensation, I want you to bring the breath there. And you might have noticed I just shifted in my chair, moving some of that extra luxury luggage or flesh out of the way so that the sits bones can be more firmly planted in your seat. And take a moment here, bringing your shoulders over your hips, lengthening through the back of the neck and the crown of the head. And then when you're ready, take a deep breath in and start to hinge forward and focus on bringing the chin or the nose forward. Hug in the abdominals, and you'll want to engage that pelvic floor, pulling it up as you come forward. And again, come forward enough to feel sensation, but not where it becomes a torture session for you. And breathe. Breathe deeply here. Two more breaths. Notice where the sensation is. And let the breath soften that area, releasing the tension. And then come back up to sitting. Bring that right foot down and then switch sides. So that left ankle comes up over the right leg, wherever on the shin or just above the knee. We just don't want that ankle resting directly on the knee joint. That would be extremely painful or harmful. Once again, bring your shoulders over the hips and lengthen up towards the sky. And then start to hinge from the hips. So we're keeping the back straight. And we're pulling the crown of the head forward, maybe the chin a little bit. Your arms can rest directly on the lower left leg. You can even hold on to the shin. Pull up through the abdominals and the pelvic floor and lengthen a little bit more on your next inhale. It might be just a millimeter. Breathe into the sensation, softening and releasing, bringing those shoulders away from the ears. They're coming, kind of reaching towards the hips, if you will. And taking 2 more breaths here. Very good. And then come back up to sitting and release that left leg down, the left foot back to meet the right. Get back situated. Okay, and with your eyes closed, you can continue to just soak in that new energy. And to close today, I'd like to share a poem that somebody in my church wrote. She is a poet laureate for Wisconsin. Her poems have been published several times. And in our church bulletin, they would often include poems. And years ago, they had put one of her poems in, and I loved it. And so I went back through a binder that I had created where I'd collect images that really resonated with me and poems or sayings. And I don't think I'd looked over that in like 7 years. And it was really a joy to look back through that. So this poem is called God's Springtime. Spring is a long time coming this year. Winter hangs on and on. The screen of the greening world goes blank with cold and snow. The earth itself tells us it is so. We cannot escape. Winds of destruction blow, waters rise, fires burn, the very ground shifts below. Is earth a tomb? We bury our bulbs in fall. Then, when nothing more than shrunken lumps with dry, flaking skin, we believe the promise of life anew. The earth itself tells us it is true. The dead of winter passes, raging still. Can you see beneath the snow? Sprigs of daffodil. Earth is a womb. So I leave that poem with you today. And I just want to thank you all for joining us. Our contact info is above, our phone number, our email address, and our YouTube channel is at Ascension Wisconsin EAP. And remember that EAP is for you and any direct family member under your roof, and it's completely free and confidential. So if you're needing to talk to a counselor, even just wanting support with lifestyle changes or stress reduction, you don't always have to be in crisis to use EAP. And even if it's work related or you want to learn some of these skills deeper, we can certainly get resources for you. And for those of you collecting wellness points, the keyword for today to share with your HR person or wellness person is seed. So today's keyword is seed. So feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. We're thrilled that you came, and make sure you put this in as a recurring appointment. The Zoom link never changes. It's always the same. So we hope to see you next month in April. We'll see you later. Thanks.